Shalaby, former Assistant Foreign Minister and for the African Affairs. Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon.
Well, always great pleasure having you with us.
Thank you.
Such first time Foreign Affairs Ministerial Conference or meeting, Seoul, Africa 2026, under the theme of Partnerships for Joint Responses to Global Challenges. Such important conference and the race of the superpowers to Africa. We're seeing China heading to Africa, Japan heading to Africa, Russia, all the USA and all the superpowers heading to Africa, to the continent of opportunities. How you first of all find the significance of such conference now in this particular time of the geopolitical tensions?
Of course, as you mentioned, Africa brings all the big powers to its markets because it has abundant reserves of critical minerals, and it has expanding consumer markets, and of course it has an increasing role in global supply chains. So it is an attraction for all big powers in order to do business with Africa. So South Korea is not the only country that is approaching Africa, but as you mentioned, it had been since China, Africa, and even the United States, Africa has been doing summits for African leaders, and this ministerial conference have touched on many important issues like strengthening the economic cooperation, promoting the sustainability of relations between South Korea and Africa, including trade and investment, including the joint responses to global challenges, because South Korea wanted to have solidarity with Africa, so that they focus on development cooperation.
Well, the conference actually focuses on securing mineral supply chains and expanding infrastructure, technical and technological know-how or technological transfer, artificial intelligence, trade, investment, etc. How can Egypt, your point of view, get benefit out of participating of such important conference and being the real gate of Africa for receiving the Korean or South Korean investments, and of course the know-how of the South Korean know-how as well?
The main issue here is that the relationship between Egypt and South Korea, whether it is diplomatic or economic, is very strong, and even the public opinion surveys rank Egypt second globally in positive perception of South Korea. That means that there is a very good opportunity for Egypt to be a gateway, as you mentioned, for investments, South Korean investments, whether it is in technology or industrial development, or even in the spare parts of cars and electric vehicles, in the maintenance, in supplying equipment. All these, even the training of Africans could be in Egypt. So Egypt is benefiting from all ways and means, whether it is from trade or from investing in green energy or in technological and digital transfer.
Exactly. Also in localization of the technological industry and the know-how of the South Korea as well, as you mentioned, and building up the capacities of the African and Egyptian personnel as well out of this, receiving out of the training programs or training projects and the also the investments projects. How can you find it as well out of the key strategic partnership of Egypt?
Yes, also this, the strong presence of Egypt in Africa it's also an attraction for international companies, South Korean companies like Hyundai Motor Company, and the possibility of investing in Africa through Egypt, because Korea Africa Business Forum has discussed. It had, of course, it has government officials, business leaders, and experts, and they all discussed the opportunities for deeper trade and the investment ties, industrial cooperation, and supply chain resilience between South Korea and Africa. And Egypt can be the model for this investment opportunity, because of, as you know, the continent of the future is Africa. It has a young population. It has a strategic location at the crossroads of major maritime routes, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, and Gulf of Aden. And it has vast reserves of critical minerals, as I mentioned. So it is important for the African Union and the African Development Bank to discuss with Egypt and to increase the cooperation with Egypt to face the complex challenges that are facing the world now, whether it is supply chain disruptions or the energy and food security.
Yeah. Well, the Foreign Minister, Dr. Badr Abdelati, emphasizes Egypt's existential water security file, of course, and highlighting this through his participation in the important Continental Summit, which is focusing mainly and primarily on investment and trade. How essential you find that Egypt is really exposing and highlighting the existential importance of this file in the global to the global community?
Yes, of course, this is very important for Egypt, and Minister Dr. Abdelati have mentioned this and have stressed the importance of the Nile basin countries.
Yep.
should be ready for have the water of the Nile coming to the upstream countries, because this is the most important water resource for Egypt and Sudan, and of course the South Korean Minister of Foreign Affairs have supported Egyptian stance towards this, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs have met many African countries, African ministers of foreign affairs who are present in this meeting, and they all have supported Egypt in its stand towards the supply of water from the basin countries to the receiving countries, whether it is Egypt or Sudan or other countries who are going to be affected by the loss of water supply when the dam is finished.
Yeah. Well, how do you believe your ambassador, the Egypt could, through its strategic partnership within this summit, how could it achieve the anticipated integration between the African continent and the needs of the African continent, or the real needs of the African continent, and the technological know-how of the Asian manufacturers, or in specifically the South Korean?
Well, as you know, there are global challenges because of what is happening in the Middle East now. So it is affecting the Africa's economies and the GDP's growth.
And what's going on in Africa
countries.
itself? There are so many conflicts in Africa itself. Yes.
Yeah, that is why the African countries should be able to take the shocks, the economic shocks that are happening in the world, and they should be ready to face high energy costs, the fertilizer and food security, the currency depreciation, and of course the bottlenecks of trade and logistics, the crisis that happened in the Red Sea and the Strait of Hormuz have had massive disruption to the maritime transit, whether it is for African countries or for Middle East countries. So the increasing shipping, insurance and transit delays have affected a lot African countries. That is why there has to be specific policy recommendations proposed by African Union and the African Development Bank in order to solve the impact of the crisis. Even on that sustainability, there is a problem, of course, because the shocks are, the geopolitical shocks that are happening are affecting African economies.
Of course, been affected by what's going on of conflicts and hotspots in the Middle East and also in the African countries themselves. Well, Ambassador Soad Shalaby, former Assistant Foreign Minister, specialized in the African affairs, many thanks for being with us and many thanks for your insights and views. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now moving into Ghana, as the thousands of new jobs and upgraded educational frameworks